Hi, this is Shankar today, and I'm going to discuss the chart of our famous industrialist Mukesh Ambani. Now, I've been seeing a lot of charts which have been analyzed, and there have been a lot of comments with respect to those charts, and I've also seen a lot of things on the web also, which varies from one thing to the other thing, and basically it's all about guesswork, and it's basically more of without understanding astrology. So this, please see the video to the full. I cannot explain everything in it, but I will try to explain why this horoscope is important and why it is what it is and what is there in the future. So let us understand this horoscope. I mean, at this time, I'm sure a lot of people would have been born. So all of them are not Mukesh Ambani. All of them are not multi-billionaires. So what is the difference which makes him where he is? And B is, I mean, the snapshot astrology which people are doing and predicting all kinds of things should also be put to rest. Whatever I've seen, whatever little events I knew, taking that into consideration, I think 1800 hours is the right time. On the basis of that, 19th April 1957, this is the chart, which is mostly the chart which has been used, but with a little variance of 10-15 minutes in various YouTube channels. Now, if you look at this horoscope, the most important thing, I mean, it is no rocket engineering that, he would do very well, because his sun, which is the Lord of 11th house, which is the house of gain and prosperity, goes and sits in the 7th house. And it is with Venus, Mercury and Ketu. Now, and Sun has got the lowest degrees. As far as my research says, the planet with the lowest degrees drives the other planet, because, it has got the lowest degree, it is going to go up. And when it goes up, it leaves the energy. I mean, it is not that this chart is the final chart. That, you have to keep on seeing a progressive chart of a daily chart of the transits of the Varshphal and the various division charts and how things pan out. This just gives you a kind of a snapshot that this person's personality would be like this. Even if he's a rickshaw puller or he's anybody else, these would be the basic characteristics the person will have. So even if it is in Prarabdha, he's born as a rickshaw guy, I'm sure a person born at this time at the same latitude and longitude and at the same time from a rickshaw puller, he would own a taxi or an auto rickshaw at the end of the day. So that is what the Lord of 11th does when it is here. It is with major planets. Lord of 11th being Sun, with the Venus, which is the Lord of business, Mercury, which is again the Lord of business, and Ketu, which is a planet which is a keen planet. It's a planet of mathematics, actually. It is a planet of research. It's a planet of going inside. It is a planet of intuition. So all that gets combined. So that is why the horoscope is there what it is. It has also the Rajya Karak, which is in the 5th house. So Lord of 5th and 2nd gives you a huge amount of money due to speculation. But if it is retrograde planets, which I'm also trying to teach astrology in this by giving this horoscope, is that planets which are malefic in nature would not do good for live things. So Saturn retrograde in the 2nd house did create issues and in the distribution of income. So that kind of thing happened. Family issues happened. So that is what Saturn gives. And Jupiter is in the 9th and 12th house. The dasha of Jupiter is going, and people have made a lot of hue and cry on the Jupiter dasha. Now, what makes this horoscope a very powerful horoscope? It makes the horoscope very powerful because the depositor of Rahu, I mean the planet which owns Rahu is Shukra, planet which owns Mangal is planet which owns Rahu Shukra, and planet which owns the planet which owns Ketu, which owns Ketu is Mangal, and the planet which is the lord of Rahu is Shukra. The planet which is the lord of Rahu is Shukra. I mean, Shukra is a good friend of Rahu. It is well placed in Libra. It is the Lagna also. And Ketu, which is in the house of 7th house, the planet which is the lord of that is Mars. And Ketu, when with Mars, makes a person flag. It lets a flag fly high for a long time. It's like, the Mahabharata, Hanuman sat and it was known as Kanteya. Kanteya won because of Hanuman on the chariot. So, I mean, I will not go in that detail. So, it's because of that. I mean, Mars and Ketu relation becomes very important. Now, above this, and the most important thing which happens is there is an exchange between Venus and Mars. Now, the Lord which is Mars goes in the Venus's house and Venus goes in the Mars house. And in the Kalpurush horoscope, it is an exchange with Lagnesh and Dvitesh. So Dvitesh is wealth, Lagnesh is self. So self-earned wealth of a huge amount is signified, and since it also signifies 7th and 8th house, it shows business and partnership. 8th house is everything under the earth. 8th is also electronics, telecommunication, spectrum. Rahu and Ketu actually rule today the world. Rahu is the owner, is in our system. I mean, that it is a science where it owns the spectrum, it owns the constellations, it owns the X-rays, it owns radioactive elements, it is the electricity. All this is owned. It is the Karak of Rahu. So he would get into all the businesses of Rahu, and Shukra is all about luxury and the refining of things. Anything which is refined is Shukra. Let it be food, let it be business. So there'll be, refined business instruments. Anything which is refined is a Venus. Of course, the glamour, film world, etc. industry is also represented by Venus. But Venus also represents, to a very great extent, food, and also it represents 7th house, which is, of course, business in the Kalpurusha. So this result, this Venus and Mars exchange between these two things, and that being the 7th and 8th house, makes the horoscope a great potential. Remember one thing: if the depositor of Rahu and Ketu are together in a Kendra, the person may have been born in anywhere, he will rise in life after 42. And if Rahu and Ketu are exchanged, it becomes again very strong, and the person will have a meteorical rise after 42, whatever the status or position is. But of course, if it is Rahu, Ketu are together and then in 6th, 8th or 12th, 5th, 9th, they have different connotations, which I will not discuss. It's a different topic altogether, since I'm discussing Mr. Ambani's horoscope. So I'm getting into details of the whole thing. So what makes the horoscope very powerful? Now, let us understand, if you look at the D9 chart, I mean, Jupiter is in its own house, Saturn is in its own house, Sun is again not, Venus and Moon is in, Mercury. It doesn't give a very, it is not that it gives a very great and, kind of an excellent position in the whole thing. So, it is nothing which is, it gives you great, I mean, kind of a stimulus that, the Navamsha is very strong, so the person should become very this thing. Now, people, today is running the Dasha of Jupiter. As on date, he's running the Dasha of Jupiter, Ketu, Jupiter, Mercury actually, So that is the Dasha which he is running, and that is till January. So people will say that, oh, Jupiter, it is the Lord of 3rd and 6th. Lord of 3rd means 8th from 8th. 8th is like, longevity, and 6th house is disease, and Jupiter is in 11th house, which is again not, which is not a very great house for, kind of health, because it is 6th from 6th. So, it's like, and then Jupiter looks by Mars and by Saturn. So, all kinds of conclusions are drawn with this. But this is again quick, snapshot, sensational astrology, because people will not go into details. Let us understand what is the power. I will explain let me explain about Jupiter first. Now, in this case, Jupiter, though it is right, it is a lot of 3rd, it is a lot of 6th. 3rd house is about communications, it's about people, it's about friends. It is Moon. Moon governs liquid money. So a great amount of liquid money will be governed by Moon. So liquidity will increase during this time. 3rd house. 6th house in business is all about enemies, giving defeats to enemies, doing business, organizing a business on a day-to-day basis, putting processes in place, and that is all what 6th house is all about, giving crushing defeat to enemies, and debts which are productive. So that is what it is in business. Now, as far as health is concerned, yes, 6th house denotes health, it denotes a lot of other things, and 3rd house is 8th from 8th, so, and then, Mangal and Saturn are looking at Jupiter. Now, let us understand this, what happens here. If you understand astrology, now Jupiter is placed very, very, very nice. The depositor of Jupiter is Sun, which is placed in 11th. So, the actual result of Sun, I mean, the sun giving you a huge amount of money will actually happen in the period of Jupiter. The wealth which will come in the period of Jupiter, because in Rahu it was very good, because Rahu Lord was Shukra. There was an exchange between Venus and Mars, but Shukra was combust, so it reduced. But the kind of exponential wealth and the kind of prestige which will come with wealth will only come in the current period which is running which will go on for 16 years. So this is the period where he will actually earn prestige, name, fame and money, which will have a lot of credence to it. So that is what Jupiter will give, because it is a depositor of Surya. It is there in 7th house. Now let us understand another thing of Jupiter, which I will come to, is that Jupiter is a functional malefic for this, right? Jupiter is a functional malefic, not good, but it is it is a more or less a dead planet. If you look at the AV5 here, Jupiter is a dead planet. It is in Nindra Avastha, it is dead. So when a planet which is very strong, I mean, it radiates power all through, okay? Its Lord is very strong, but it has no power to do negativity, then it will do positive. Two negatives will make positive. So Jupiter as such over here has the strength, has great strength in terms of it's a planet of radiance. Jupiter is a planet which has a lot of qualities. It gives you wealth, it gives you family, it gives you fortune, it gives you income as a karak. Now this Jupiter is dead. It is a negative planet, but a negative planet, when it becomes dead, it is lying. It cannot get up, it cannot do any destruction. And when it cannot do any destruction, it is sitting there, and the Lord of the place in the house we is sitting is Sun, which is very strong. So the Lord where Jupiter is sitting is very strong, and Jupiter is giving its power of its radiance to Sun, and it is not doing anything negative, because two negatives always make positive, because here it is malefic but a dead planet, and then it is a very strong planet in terms of radiance, because it is the Atma Karak. Now Atma Karak is the planet which is your soul, by which you are born, the soul by which you are born. So that is the Atma Karak planet, and Jupiter is the Atma Karak planet. So for 16 years, as far as Mr. Mukesh Bhai is concerned, or Mr. Ambani is concerned, he is going to have huge amount of income, huge amount of wealth, prestige will be very high. He will make a name and fame for himself in the world, and his health is going to be very good, because of, as explained here, in terms of that a lot of people are talking about it. That is my analysis, and I'm sure I should not be going wrong there. So that is what is my analysis on the whole thing. Now, if you look at his D60 chart, wait on, I'm just taking it out. Wait on, I'm just getting this, not very familiar with this. Just a moment. But this is an important aspect in his horoscope, which changes the entire, the perspective of the horoscope. If you look at his Shashtyamsa, this is D60. Now, if you look at the D60 chart in his horoscope, This D60 is the chart in which a person, what is the karma he is born with? What is the karma by which he is born? That is the D60 chart. That shows that what is the karma you are born with. That is what the D60 chart is all about. And if you look at the D60 chart, you'll have Jupiter is exalted. That means this person, has come with the karma of his past karma, which this planet Jupiter has in it. It's basically energy, which is exalted. So this Jupiter here, which is the 11th house, will give all that which Surya wants to give because is Lord. It will also is an Atma Karak, so it's very strong, but it is unable to do any negative and carries a lot of past good karmas, and it is with Moon Gaj Keshari Yoga, means the man will rise higher and higher and higher. And then if you see, Sun is exalted in Aries again here. In D60, Sun is exalted means somewhere he was a king and a yogi. You're kind of a king and a yogi, where Sun is exalted in his. So Sun is equally strong. Sun is not only exalted, it is Vargottam. So you can imagine this. If it would run with a chart of a politician, he would have been a prime minister of the country at this time. If it would have been a chart of a politician, he would have been a prime minister. But because it's a chart of an industrialist, he will be an industrialist, and Sun is all about politics, government, so many other things. So that will be great. Here, I am not very sure of his chart because this chart changes in seconds. Milliseconds it changes. It changes, the Lagna changes in second. So I will just take that Sun is exalted. In Kal Purush, it is in Aries. Therefore, it is going to be extremely, extremely strong. So it will be Gaj Keshri Yoga, and this is what you have to see. And between Sun and Jupiter, there is a Kendra Yoga. Sun, Moon and Jupiter, there is a Kendra Yoga. So this Jupiter of 16 years will give him huge amount of money, huge amount of prestige, international fame, fame amongst politicians, gain, and great amount of respect. Anything and everything is possible. I believe, I've seen the horoscope in details. The next 5 years, he is going to make as much as he made in the last 17 years of Rahu, or 8.5, 10 years of Rahu. That is what I believe. But yes, Sun is the planet which is the ruler. It is a lord. The Sun is a king. So he would be a king. But remember, a king was very good, magnanimous. It also doesn't care for things. It excuses people. But Sun knows all the 64 Kridas which were there in Vedanta. The king, the Sun, which is the king, knows all the 64 Kridas of right from playing Jua to all the 64 methods of handling issues, and it can be very cruel also if it wants. So that is what is going to be the thing, and that is what my reading says. Thanks for listening me out, and bye for now.